What's up, guys? Welcome back to a new episode of Out of the Park Baseball 26, where we are rebuilding the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we're joining you from June 1st, 2030. Last episode was a real eventful one. We had a ton of ups and downs in the early parts of the season here. As you know, we are trying to make our way back to the World Series, where we lost last season in 7 games against the Boston Red Sox. This year, we're looking to redeem ourselves and make it back there and bring home the trophy. But it's going to be an uphill battle because we have a lot of adversity. The key storyline throughout the early part of the season has been team injuries. We have really stacked them up, kind of like no other year before this in the simulation. We have pitching injuries. Mike Burrows has a strained shoulder and Jared Jones has a dead arm. They're due back, relatively soon. I think it's likely they come back in this episode, but they've been out for close to a month for Burrows and 2 weeks for Jared Jones, so extended absences for sure. And we've also lost key positional players as well. Termarr Johnson just fractured a finger. He is out for 3 to 4 weeks. He is obviously one of our best hitters. He's a 60 grade player and is, we've penciled him in as our 3 hitter for the last 3 or 4 seasons. So big loss losing him. And then we lose our highest rated player for the season. Wyatt Sanford is out 5 to 6 months with a fractured knee. We had just successfully trained a strength and conditioning program for him in the off season, and he has a season-ending injury on May 24th that is really brutal. He had accrued 2.1 WAR and was pacing for close to 6 WAR on the season, and obviously it stinks to lose our best player, but we're going to have to adapt here, and it's going to test the depth of our system if we're going to make it back to the postseason and go on a run. So there's a lot to look forward to in today's episode. We're going to review what the draft class is going to look like. We have the scouting combine quickly approaching on June 7th, just a week away before that begins. We have 2 first-round picks this season, and I think I'll use the scouting combine as an opportunity to talk about some minor league promotions. I've sort of done that a little bit earlier this season. I just did it off camera at the start of June to sort of push guys to higher levels, trying to get maximize the growth that they see this year. And then after the combine on the 7th, we're going to push all the way through June and early July. So it should be relatively quick from an on-the-field perspective. Only 1 month of real games here. We're going to go through early July as well. The first-year player draft is here on the 11th, so we'll do the first 3 series of July, and then we will take a look at the available draftees at our pick, and you guys can comment who you would choose. So hopefully not as long of an episode as last time around. I know that was a really long video, and I appreciate you sticking with me through it. But there was a lot to talk about in the early season. But, our Pirates were 35-23. We are at the top of the power rankings. We're at the top of the NL Central. I think we're going to be all right. Knock on wood that we don't have any more horrendous injuries. We have called up, a couple of new stars toward the end of last episode. I say stars, but I think I'm, being a little hopeful. We have Elian Pena stepping into a second base role here. He has done really well in AAA this season, had a 1,000 OPS in 200 plate appearances down there. So he is stepping in for the time being, and we're also carrying Alex Harrington at the moment, who has not really gotten any major league action yet, only 3 plate appearances, but in 200 plate appearances at AAA, had a 942 OPS and a 133 WRC+. So he's really here for the glove. I'll just be totally honest, I don't expect him to hit much at all. If he really struggles, I think there are certain moves we can make to shift things around. We can move Pena back to shortstop, Kozil could slide to second, and we could call up somebody from AAA to fill in at first base if things go poorly with Harrington. But we're going to go with this for the time being. It gives us really strong defense up the middle, and it regrettably kind of pushes Oneil Cruz higher in the order, and he's been not so good, you guys. Oneil Cruz has really fallen off here as he approaches age 32 for us. He's entering kind of the final of years of his deal. I wish we had done a player or a team option for this final season next year, where he will be guaranteed a place in the starting lineup and $17.5 million, but we did not have the foresight to do that. So we're going to have to figure out how to get production out of him, and we need other guys to wake up. We need Carson Benj, Edward Lantigua. They've both been subpar hitters this season, 96 WRC plus for Lantigua, 73 WRC plus for Benj. We need those guys to wake up because there's a big gap in our offense now with no Sanford and no Termar. So Benj is all the way up to the 3 spot. We've got Alfonso in the 5 and Cruz in the 6, Lantigua in the 7. So it'll be interesting to see how we do here. We've also got new pitchers on our staff. We've got Zane Petty and Tyler August, who are sort of stepping up into roles that are maybe too ambitious for their capabilities. But, we'll just hope for the best. Like I mentioned, Jared Jones is due back in 4 days. He's coming off of a dead arm. I'm sort of weighing if I want to give him a rehab assignment or not. I may give him one rehab start just to be safe, since he was out upwards of 2 weeks. And then Mike Burrows is still day-to-day for about 1 week. I think it's likely we do the same thing for him, give him one good start in the minors and then bring him back up. So Petty and August are going to stick around for at least probably 2 more weeks of game time. But let's start moving along here. We have the draft combine here on the 7th, and usually it takes 3 to 4 days to figure out who's good and who's not in there. So I may take this all the way to the 11th, which is frustrating to end in the middle of the series. But I think we'll have a good idea of who's good and who's bad. It just kind of depends on how it looks. But we're going to start advancing through these games here. We took the most recent game at the end of May against San Diego 5-1. We've got 2 more on the road there before an off day, and then we start a pretty big homestand where we welcome Houston and Philly and Atlanta. So, I'll be back at some point during the combine. I'm not sure exactly when, but then we can sort of review all the exciting prospects entering the draft this year. Jumping back on here really quick, we've simulated 1 day, and I'm not even joking, you guys. I think I might lose it. You look at this game, it looks awesome. We beat the Padres 8-4. There's a lot to like. We get 4 runs in the top of the 9th inning there to come back late. But I couldn't help but notice there was maybe why does Nick Gonzalez get subbed out here? I hover over and he has a diagnosis pending. If we go down to see what happened, it says Nick Gonzalez was injured while throwing the ball. So definitely not good. It's a leg injury. And you hope it's nothing like non-contact, where he would, just go down. I am really fearful, though, with his fragile nature and just, everything that's happened this season. We've just been, screwed over so much. But I'll let you know once we have some clarity on what that might be. Just another tough break for us. A couple days later here, we finally have clarity on the Nick Gonzalez injury. It's a hamstring strain, and it's only going to be a 2-week recovery time, so I'm pretty thankful that it wasn't something much worse, where it was multi-month injury or anything like that. He's been one of our best hitters. He's hit .308 on the season. Obviously, really, really need him in the lineup to kind of cover the losses of Termar and Sanford, so we're going to be down without him for 2 weeks. The corresponding move, we brought back Johnny Severino, who we originally had on the roster to start the season. He went back to AAA. He only got 3 games of work down there, but definitely mashed. So hopefully he can kind of carry that success into the majors, and he should be fine with these ratings. You would think he could be somewhat productive. But we're going to play Aiden Miller there for now, just because we're kind of trying to ride his hot hand. And, if his production dips, maybe we swap them. But Aiden Miller's going to get the work now. And now the bottom half of our order looks really, really weak. We're bumping Griffin up to the 2 spot, which was previously held by Gonzalez. And then we're going Benj, Alfonso, 3-4. Or maybe we'll swap them. We'll go Alfonso, Benj. And then we'll go Lantigua 5, Cruz 6. So the bottom half is looking a little rough with Miller, Pena, and Arrington there, but it's the best we can do, okay? So give me a break. We're going to keep moving. Okay, guys, we've rolled through here. We're now on the 10th of June, and overall we've been playing pretty well. I don't think the Nick Gonzalez injury has really impacted us too much. Jared Jones made one rehab start down at AAA. He only got, I set a pitch cap on him. I didn't want him throwing over like 80 pitches or whatever. So he only went 3 2/3, but it was overall a successful outing. Only 3 hits, 6 Ks, 1 walk. Didn't get really touched up. He gave up a run, but it was unearned. So we're going to just call him right back up, and he's 100% rested, so he's going to get this next game. We're going to slot him in right after Finn McElroy. And we sort of rearranged things here. We've kicked out Santucci back down to AAA. Zane Petty was really good in his MLB debut here. I'm a little weary of the negative strikeout minus walk ratio here. He is walking more than he is striking out, which is like usually not a good sign, but he's not giving up hard contact. So I was kind of waffling between do we let August continue to be the 5th starter until Burrows returns, or do we let Zane Petty take the 5th starter as just kind of like a 5 and dive? Ultimately, because Tyler August is currently hot, I decided to keep him there, and then we're going to bump Petty to long relief. But if August has another blow-up, it's possible we just swap them back, easy peasy. But we're going to put Jones behind Finn McElroy. McElroy has been so good that I think Jones needs to go down a bit in the order of the rotation. And then I also noticed, you see our strong play here. We are now 6-2 on the month, and things are going well. I was curious about like where we stack up in the standings, and I was taking a look here, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have the best record in all of the major leagues. I feel like there's been so much drama this season. I've yet to like take a step back and appreciate what we actually have been able to accomplish. We're 41-25, which is best by 2 games on the Marlins and the White Sox, and we're beating out the Dodgers so far for tops in the NL. Overall, we've been awesome. Last 10, we're 8-2. In the expanded standings, if you look at run differentials here, the dominant teams in the AL appear to be Chicago and Cleveland and Vegas. In our NL, we've actually, I think the last time we looked at this, we were a negative run differential team, and now we are up to plus 37, which is good. But maybe like equally alarming, we've gotten really lucky. We're 4 over our expected record. So we've kind of turned things around here. We have a positive record in 1-run games and extra inning games, which is usually not the case with our teams, or it hasn't been in previous seasons. So nice change of pace there. We're still not quite scoring at the rate of the Dodgers or these teams in the NL East, but we're kind of hanging our hat on good defense, and we're just trying to tread water until we get our star players back. But overall, things are going well. We're now into the scouting combine, and there's really not too much I want to show here. Before we get into it, I guess we're still waiting on Nick Gonzalez. He's out for 1 more week with the hamstring strain, and then Mike Burrows is kind of like in an uncertain return window. I think whenever we get news on him, he'll go to AAA for maybe 1 or even 2 starts. I'm not certain yet. But the scouting combine, we have touched on how this has changed over the couple of weeks we've been playing the game. Different updates have made it function differently. We have high scouting accuracy on every player here at this point, all 233. So there's no really, value in trying to scout guys. So we'll just kind of take a look at the 80 grade guys here, and I'll show you maybe some of the favorite players that I have. Obviously, not every player in the draft class attends the combine, so this is just a portion of the available players, but you can kind of see who's garnering the most interest up here. There are several 80 grade guys. As far as pitching goes, there are 3, and the top guy is this one, Rich Benavidez. Yasan is a lefty 17-year-old who honestly looks really, really good. He can possibly touch 100, great at holding runners, good stamina. You think the movement will be there from, pretty much day one. He has to work on the strikeout stuff. His primary pitch is a slider, but he also has changeup cutter, and they all project to be really strong. So obviously, high work ethic. He ought to be very good. Ernesto Contreras, also a lefty. Ground ball pitcher, throws mid-90s. Doesn't quite have the same level of stamina, but he's a little bit maybe more balanced across the board in the sense that his stuff is higher, the pitches are a little bit further along, and he has a greater mix of them. But his primary pitch is a curve is kind of weird, but he has a sinker, he has a cutter, he's got some stuff with velocity, and pretty good personality as well. You just kind of skeptical of the stamina maybe would be his red flag. And then there's Jonathan Watts, another lefty, handsome Hugh, is probably the furthest along with his movement, but the furthest away in his control. So a little bit of pick your poison, I guess, there. But the fastball is already major league quality for an 18-year-old, is a pretty good sign. He's got a sinker, curve, changeup. You think the changeup and sinker can be really, really dominant. Obviously, it's I would be very surprised if any of these guys are available to us at our pick. I took a peek at the mock draft, but that's not really accurate either. I think the last pitcher I'll touch on here that I think is interesting is Jose Rivera, who is a college arm and probably the furthest along out of all of these guys, where he's 21, he's from a great competition level school, and he brings a 5-pitch mix. Good stamina, not the best at holding runners, but a power pitcher who is touching upper 90s. I think he looks very similar to Tony Granger, who we kind of just took. But I like the archetype, so I just like the good starting point with him. As far as batters, I'll just touch on a few. There's only 3 80 grade guys, and there is one of them, the Kung Fu Panda, Jerry Blashill. Durable, big power, potential strikeout risk as well, but he's 6'5", 200 bats from the left side. He's really corner, first base, DH type, but obviously has all the tools. It's just the competition level. He is Canadian that it makes you question if he's really good. Then we have the Bulldozer, another lefty bat, Chris Costello, good work ethic, line drive hitter. Honestly, it looks really good. He's durable as well. Comes from a better competition level, just average. But, very well balanced across the board, but also a potential strikeout risk as well. There's one shortstop here, too, and there's a bunch of 70, 75 grade guys, but I really just want to mention Jesus Lara, who is codenamed Mr. Tigers. Really, really plus power, and for, being 17 to already have a couple attributes in the 30s, I think is really impressive with him, and he's great at the transfer of double plays. He could be an elite second baseman, and there's an outside chance he sticks that short as well. So 6'4", 195, he's definitely got the frame for it. He's from the Puerto Rico Baseball Academy, so possible strikeout risk as well with just the 20 starting point, but you kind of like his power. We are projected to take somebody random down here, Tony Salinas, but it's going to be hard to determine what pick we make until we see the board that's available to us. But I guess we have a couple of other guys here. It's actually projecting us to take that 80 grade outfielder Kung Fu Panda with our supplemental pick. It looks like a couple of other teams kind of vaulted us in the supplemental order here, so now we're picking not 34th, but a little bit later. So just kind of wanted to mention it because obviously it's on the calendar, it's happening. We're going to keep moving along here. We've got a series against Atlanta to wrap up our homestand, and then we're going to go all the way through this road stretch. Milwaukee, 4 games there, and then 4 games in Cleveland. I'll rejoin you here on the 20th with news and updates. All right, guys, jumping on here a little bit early, you can see we lost 2 of 3 against Atlanta. The good news is that Tyler August had a gem of a game during this time, and he remains hot. This pitcher's duel against Jacob deGrom, they go blow for blow. August with a 72-game score, 6 innings, 2 walks, 6K, only 2 hits. So he's riding the wave right now. So we're going to, let him cook. We're going to leave him there and keep Zane Petty in the bullpen. But I wanted to jump on because I don't think Alex Harrington is working, you guys. It's been 10 games, and while the defense is good, he has a 42 WRC plus, and I don't really like what he's doing. For lack of a better word, I just think he's better served getting more reps at AAA, where he was really performing well. He's not like a tremendously negative WAR player for us because he does bring that offensive or that defensive element, but I think we can send him back down, and I have a move in mind here. So if we demote him to AAA, we're kind of just searching for, like any sort of offensive spark at the moment. And I come down here and I look and I find that Nolan Stevens has gotten hot, and he can play first base. So I'm thinking we bring him up as a first base trial, and we can move Camden Koziel around. We will fix the depth charts here. We need Harrington to play, of course. We will come back up here to the MLB. This is sort of how I'm envisioning it, where Pena goes to short, Koziel goes to second, and then Nolan Stevens will now play first base for us. It obviously makes us incredibly lefty heavy. So we're going to have to break this up in some form or fashion, where I'm kind of considering something along these lines, where I almost want to put Stevens like really, really high, because Alfonso has not been hitting. I have these stats split for June. Obviously, the month we're in, Alfonso has a negative 20 WRC plus. Koziel has just been fine. Pena's been fine. Severino has been good. Lantigua has been good. And Griffin has been good. So it's like, how do we stagger those righties throughout the lineup? I don't know. I'm not certain. I'm going to have to figure it out off camera, because I made those moves without really having a plan. But we're just a couple of days away from Nick Gonzalez coming back, so we don't have to wait that long before figuring out what to do. Fast forward to June 17th here. We're back a little bit early, I know, but some big news has happened. Nick Gonzalez has returned, and last time I was on here, I was doing a bunch of lineup management. Basically, we scrapped all of that, and now Nick Gonzalez is back, and he's going to play second base for us. So we're going to move Pena to shortstop. We sent Harrington back down to AAA, and we're going to kind of rock like this for just the time being. We're going to go no rehab assignment on Gonzalez, just like straight back to the lineup. And we're going to start him in the 6th spot for now. And then, if he performs well the first couple of games, we'll work him back up the order. But Lantigua is hot right now. I don't want to pull him out of where he's hitting. And I think everyone else is kind of just, vibing where they are. The only, little red flag is Koziel, who has gone ice cold, and we have him in the 3 spot. But it's really not much better for guys like Alfonso. And Carson Benj has an OPS of 576, you guys. He's got to wake up. We need Carson Benj to show up here. Alfonso has a sub 700 OPS as well, so our lefties are nowhere to be found, but we get Termar back in 1 week from his fractured finger, so hopefully that will give us a lift. In his most recent start, Tyler August suffered back spasms, so we're just going to bench him. And we swapped in Zane Petty to fill his role. It's just 1 week, so we kind of just have to make it through these next 5 games, and then he should be available starting on the 23rd on if no setbacks. So we're going to keep moving here. One other bit of news, though. Mike Burrows made a start on rehab in AAA and got destroyed. So he will definitely need one more down there just to get right before coming back. So he's not ready quite yet. Looks like a little bit of, recovery to work through coming off the shoulder strain. So we've got a couple more games ahead of us here. I think we'll just do these next 2 series. We may just do Cleveland and then Texas, and then I'll come back here why not? Let's just go all the way till the end. I'll come back when I have more news. We'll do Cleveland, Texas, and Cincinnati all together, and then by then we should have some clarity on Burrows coming back and Johnson as well. All right, guys, the hits keep coming. I swear this is brutal. This season is insane. Jojo Romero now has a strained forearm that will place him out 3 to 4 weeks. He was a really high volume pitcher for us this season. Already had 38 innings, was a 0.6 WAR player. Was pitching against both sides too. We were just using him in standard middle relief, and now he's going to be sidelined for close to a month likely. So I don't really know what we're going to do here. Obviously, we're not going to let him play through it. That would be silly. I think now we are down to just 2 lefties in our pen. We still have Ben Abelt, and we still have Tyler Holton. So I don't think Abelt is really the kind of guy we want playing against both sides, against right-handed batters, as he is a sidearmer with less movement than JoJo. But I don't really know what our good options are here down at AAA, so we'll kind of have to go off camera to consider kind of maybe what makes sense, but just another loss for us in the at the major league level. So the hits keep coming, like I said. All right, guys, now we're joining you from the 28th here. As you can see, overall, a pretty positive week of baseball for us. We took every series, and it was big of us to take this series on the road in Cincinnati. So the team continues to play well. We're 50-32, first in the Central, 4 games up on Cincinnati. And we've got our guy back. Termar has returned from injury. I didn't give him a rehab assignment coming off the broken finger. I just felt like that should be something he can just step in and shake off. And he has played 2 games, and he already homered in the second game there. So glad to have him back. Obviously, he will slot in as our 3-hitter immediately. We've sort of reworked the lineup here to try to go like right, left, right, left, and just kind of repeat along. I don't like batting Griffin so low, but we're just kind of forced into it for the time being. And he hasn't really been performing all that well, but we have 2 guys under the Mendoza in our starting lineup, which does not feel great to run out there. We have Carson Bench and O'Neal Cruz. I also shook up the bench a little bit. Yordani was really underperforming, so we sent Yordani back down to AAA along with Aiden Miller. Both of them were really struggling. We had to make room for Termar, so Termar took 1 spot. And then we decided to bring up Dean Curley. He's never really meaningfully debuted. He got some playing time in 2028 for us, but it was not super strong. He has yet to log a game, but I just felt like he can back up shortstop for us and play a little bit of third base, and he brings another righty hitter into our lineup. Maybe he can get a little bit hot and give us more production than we were getting out of Aiden Miller. So we've made that change. I also started to aggressively rotate Esther Suero in on the DH spot more with O'Neal Cruz struggling so much. He's weird. O'Neal is weirdly like a plus hitter against lefty pitching, and he's terrible against righty pitching. So kind of a reverse splits guy this year. We're going to rotate him out more aggressively against right-handed pitching, getting Suero in there, I think, every 3 days. So hopefully that leads to more lineup production, and it also helps with our left-right balance as Suero is a switch hitter. And you can see what we're doing here against left-handed pitching. We were originally playing Carson Bench both sides all year. We've pulled him against left-handed pitching to try to protect him. He's just been so terrible. We have to try something new. So those are the moves. Tyler August is now fully healthy. He was dealing with back spasms for a while, but he is 100% rested now, and he will get this next start. He's up next against Miami here. And we're still monitoring the return of Mike Burrows, who just made a 3rd start at AAA, and it wasn't necessarily great, 7 hits, 4 allowed, 2 homer. But at this point, he's pitched 3 games down there. I think I'm willing to just call him back up to the majors, and then we can send Zane Petty back down. We're still waiting on a couple of other guys to come back. We have Jojo Romero, 2 more weeks on his strained forearm before he is able to return. We brought back Jonathan Santucci to just have a third lefty in the bullpen in the meantime. So we're at the midseason point. Obviously, the team record is looking good. We got a new prospect list and a review of our midseason goals, but I don't really want to touch on these too much. There's not much, it's kind of the same information that we already knew. Ben Small, I did push up to AA, and so far it has not gone exactly well. He's hitting 170 up there, but it's still pretty new for him. So he's now rejoined with Phil Goodall in the outfield at AA, and he comes in here as the number 4 prospect in the midseason update. Our system overall, we've fallen down to 4th. So not, I think other teams are just getting better, and we're kind of, hovering around the same. But I'm going to keep moving through here. We've got the end of June. We are almost to the draft, you guys. We have this series against Miami, and then we have St. Louis as well. So I'll probably do both of these, and then we can check back in on any news and updates. Quick update here. You can see we took 2 of 3 against Miami to finish out the month of June, and overall that brought our team record to 17-10 in the month. So far in July, we are 1-2. We ended up dropping these games against St. Louis here, but we've maintained our top position in the NL Central. If we go to the standings here, still 4.5 up on Cincinnati, and got a couple of good bats this year, along with Dan Beebe being steady as always. So we're almost to the draft. It's on the 11th here, so we've just got this series at Vegas and at Kansas City before we can dive in. One note I wanted to make: I called up Mike Burrows and gave him Tyler August's spot, even though August has been really, really hot as a starter. It's kind of like I don't know who to. We can't start 6 guys, so we're going to throw Burrows back out there, and August is going to go back to middle relief. We sent down Jonathan Santucci, so now we only have 2 lefties in our pen. Santucci was just so bad, I couldn't keep him up here. So Zane Petty gets to stay for now as our long reliever. But next time you hear from me, we'll be at the draft, and we can finally wrap up this episode. All right, guys, we finally made it to the 11th here. We ended up sweeping Vegas and then losing 2 of 3 at KC. So on the whole, we're 5-4 through the month of July. But now we're going to pivot our attention forward to the 2030 first-year player draft. I haven't done any, prior research to this, but we're going to take a look together and see what kind of talent is available for us at pick 30. Obviously, we're picking much later in this draft, and the sort of the latest we picked so far in the simulation. So it's going to be a challenge to find value. We're at 30, and then as you know, we have our supplemental pick right after, and then a bit of a gap. We have a good chunk of change devoted to this. We have, I want to say, this isn't the screen. I want to say 16. Yeah, flat 16 allocated to this, so we can overpay if we want. And I think we're just going to go best player available. I don't have any sort of need or strategy in mind. But let's go ahead and get things started here. We'll, see who goes number 1 and then kind of simulate until our pick. According to the mock draft, it would be Rich Martinez, a college shortstop called the Tornado out of UAB, which is, you don't usually see Major League players out of UAB, I guess. So kind of a mixed bag. I don't know. I guess he's pretty far along and you could fast track him, but I'm not sure if that's who I would choose. There are quite a bit of college players in this draft in general. I was looking through when we were doing the combine, and I was kind of surprised at how many 21, 22-year-olds I was able to see here. But let's get things going. See who goes 1-1. We will auto draft for Washington here. It looks like they may be favoring first baseman Chris Costello. But let's see. They do. They go with Chris Costello. He was committed to UCLA. He's a durable high school senior. The bulldozer, we had looked at him at the combine and identified him as being very, very good. Really plus contact and plus power from the left side. He's everything you could ask for in a first baseman with good work ethic. I think this is a very good pick for them. And Philly is next up. They will take Travis Henry, Donkey, the 19-year-old right-handed starting pitcher. Looks to have big stuff. He's a ground baller, kind of just decent stamina and holding runners, but good work ethic. Control is somewhat borderline if that 50 were to regress. It's a low starting point of 20, so kind of a risky pick here, but you love his movement and stuff potential. The curveball primary is interesting. And our division rival Cincinnati Reds here, who will they take? It looks like they're possibly favoring a catcher, and they do take Bruce Phillips, the switch-hitting catcher who is fragile and, brings big power, though. As a switch hitter who can cover both sides with this power profile, it looks pretty awesome. He's sort of like Javier Ruiz, who we signed in international free agency. But okay, let's keep moving to our pick. We're going to auto-draft until we are on the clock and see who is available to us there. Okay, wow, there's still a couple of college guys that were the mock draft is not, I sort of like referencing both the mock draft and the pipeline for, good value. I see one 80 grade player on our board here, the right fielder, I think the Canadian guy, Jerry Bloschel, who we had kind of talked about, but we're not going to pencil ourselves into any position or anything. I would be, we could dip down into the 70 grades. I think that would be fine. Of course, we have two picks here, both kind of valued at $3-ish mil. But of course, we have a lot more allocated. These top guys look like they want $8 mil, which would be quite the price to pay. I wanted to see where there was a certain pitcher I liked out of college here. I wanted to see where he would go. Jesus Lara, that shortstop from the Puerto Rico Baseball Academy, goes to the Rockies at 8. I thought he looked really, really good. And Rich Benavidez, the left-handed 17-year-old, goes to Detroit. So really liked him. And there, Jose Rivera was the college pitcher that I had kind of liked. He goes to Tampa. I just felt like he was a really good, far along prospect that you could pencil in sooner rather than later. But let me go off camera here. I will, kind of decide who I want to present to you guys as possible options and then come back once I know what I'm talking about. All right, guys, I've canvassed the pool, and I think I have some good options that I'm excited about for you to consider. You, of course, have to kind of think big picture with this. There's a little bit of strategy involved. We're picking close to, our picks are so close together. We kind of have to think about, okay, which pitch positions are more scarce, which are more surplus, what makes sense to take first, and then can we wait and get something else later. I'm doing a poor job of explaining it, but essentially, I think there are fewer good pitchers in this class. You can see the amount of batters that are 60 plus grade are the quantity is huge. There's a ton of good hitters here, but if we go to starting pitchers, there are only a handful. So I think it may make sense to address pitching with the first pick, given the scarcity. And then with the second pick, we can, revisit these hitters. I've kind of marked guys I'm interested in here with the scouting icon. So I'll show you the pitchers first, and then we can dive into the hitters. There's really only two starting pitchers that I think are, worth pursuing. There is a college guy here, Mike DeMarie. But I don't really love the archetype of the 40 stuff. He's just an extreme ground baller, probably more well-suited for parks like Coors Field or Cincinnati or something like that, where it's really crucial to limit home runs. Our park is a little bit more difficult to hit home runs in, so we kind of go for the stuffy guys a little bit more. But he's a very high starting point floor. I just don't think I want to take him here. The guys I like are Bill Bumgarner and Luke Thompson. Luke Thompson is probably my second choice. He just looks pretty solid. He's young for the class. He's not 18 yet. Has a good work ethic, good stamina, throws mid to upper 90s. Pretty good starting point, although the homers might be an issue early in his career and the movement generally. He projects to be, kind of just a balanced pitcher across the board. The starting control is also pretty low, but it can get up to a 55. I think maybe he would be a backup option if we decided to not go with Bill Bumgarner with this pick. I'm leaning toward the choice being Bill Bumgarner, and you can tell me if I'm wrong for this, but he's also a high school arm, but his starting point is a little bit higher. He's starting at a 25, and we see 70 grade potential out of him with a demand of 3.4. And he also throws left, so his nickname is Merlin. He's already coming in with really high velocity, decent stamina, good at holding runners, good work ethic. He's 6'4", 200. He's pretty far along for a high school pitcher. You're just kind of waiting on the control primarily, but he's already got a major league quality fastball, which I think can carry him through the minors. He's 18 and a half, so kind of want to, obviously start him out at rookie ball, but I think his ratings relative to that league could make him pretty effective if we can get him into sort of a control program early, or maybe even a movement program to realize this upside. I just like the idea of having a left-handed pitcher who can touch 100 on the gun. So, let me know what you think of Merlin here. I would say he's my favorite pitcher. He's got, 2 80-plus grade offerings, and then, I like the mix overall. He's got, stuff that moves horizontal and changes in velocity. So overall, I think he would be pretty good, and he's only wanting 3.4. From a batting perspective, there are a lot more options, and we could double dip on batters as well. That's not, out of the question. I think some strategy to consider here would be the demand. I think we've seen in previous drafts guys with these really, really high demands kind of like linger on the board. Other teams are hesitant to take them. So I think there's a chance that these guys that are demanding $8 million are available with our next pick, and the cheaper guys actually go first because they are, more enticing to more teams. So these guys like Wayne Coward, Jim Duncan, who just went slot, Carmona even at $5 million, and Miller, Wyatt, they could all go ahead of Blashill and Salinas here. So there is a little bit of nuance to it. I think my two favorites are Blashill and Coward. They're both outfielders. We looked at the Kung Fu Panda earlier at the Combine, and he is Canadian from a poor competition level, but his personality is pretty good, and I like the teaser on it. I don't think he would be detrimental to the clubhouse or lazy in any way. Big lefty corner outfielder with plus power and eye gap power, all looking pretty good. Durable as well. He does want $8 million, so I'm thinking if we could grab the pitcher first and then loop back and get Kung Fu Panda second, that would be a tremendous outcome, and that would put us at 12.5 million total spend, or 11.5. So we would still have quite a bit of money to work with as well. The other guy I'm favoring, though, is Wayne Coward, who is younger. He's 17.5, and he comes from a more established high school. He's committed to University of North Carolina, and he's kind of more well-balanced across the board. He brings more contact than Kung Fu Panda does at the expense of 80 grade power and a little bit less eye. I don't like the teaser of his personality where it lacks an edge, so I think he could just be I don't know, not a very hardworking player or something like that, but he does bring plus fielding, and his arm is really, really good. So they both bat left. They both have similar physical archetypes. If we just compare them directly, you can see Coward is actually further along despite being younger. He has 10 points of just raw attributes on Kung Fu Panda, which is good. He's further along and younger, so that's both positive. It's just kind of which profile do you favor? Do you favor the avoid K contact profile with the gap power, which we know plays really well in our park? Or do you favor the more like true power, the home run power in the eye, with the kind of just average contact tool? Although he does have a good BABIP potential. So let me know which one you would value more. Coward brings more speed, which is a nice pairing with that gap power. So, you could make the argument that we should take Coward first even, and then with our second pick, we could take one of the pitchers. So I think there's a lot of ways to go about this. I would say between the lefty pitcher we looked at and these two players here, those are my favorite profiles I've seen, but I'll show you the other batters as well. Tony Salinas is also, we see him as a 75 grade player. He also wants $8 million. He is a infield bat, says a shortstop, maybe a second baseman, but he's got good range and he's got great contact tools. But we've kind of dipped on this profile in previous drafts, and I think we kind of have a lot of guys like him, and he's a right-handed hitter. I think he's a little bit redundant, and I'm not tremendously blown away by his tools to want to take him here, but he's very solid for sure. We have Jim Duncan. We have a couple of college players here. Jim Duncan, John Carmona, and Jesse Miller are all college bats. Jim Duncan is a second baseman. His nickname is Spawn, which I like. He is durable and he hits from the right side, but he's coming from a poor competition level. But you think at, almost 22, you could put him in high A ball and he could just take off immediately. He's definitely a true second baseman with the lack of arm, but I think he's pretty safe and very good. John Carmona is an outfielder from UNLV who bats right, throws left, which is a little bit of a weird combo, but listed as a center fielder. He's got good range, but he's not like the most technically sound fielder, I would say. But similarly has a really high floor, and I think the gap power would play well in our park. So if kind of these guys at the top end up being selected before our next pick, we would kind of be playing in this pool of guys below. Jesse Miller is another college bat. He's a bit older. He's 22 and a half, so almost a full year older than the other guys we looked at, but he's a good glove on the infield with good work ethic and adaptability, and definitely think he could be fast-tracked, but you kind of think maybe he's just a average hitter across the board if all of this were to regress down to like just 50 or like 55 top-end tools. Also a poor competition level as well, so maybe a bit of risk taking him there. And then the final guy is another high school bat who I like. I looked at all these other profiles and there were, red flags with them that I don't think I want to consider, but Brian Wyatt looks pretty good. He's a switch hitting outfielder, likely more of a corner guy given the error rating, and he's 6'3", 190, but he's got good work ethic, good at base running, gap power and eye are there. Maybe never a true home run hitter, but you like the contact upside with the avoid K, even if it has quite a long way to go. But for being under 18, I think he looks pretty solid. But if you, kind of compare him to the other high schooler we were looking at, Wayne Coward, Wayne has a lot more to unlock in his contact and gap power. They're honestly pretty similar. The eye kind of favors Brian Wyatt. He obviously hits switch where Coward just hits left and throws left. So they're pretty similar, I would say, and it just kind of depends who you like here. The base running definitely is in Wyatt's favor, but I think from a fielding perspective, Coward is probably a little superior. Yeah, he has a much better error rating and the range is higher, the arm is higher, so you think Coward could be a better fielder. But that is sort of where I am leaning. Our scout would have us take Jerry Bloschel, the Kung Fu Panda, but he also likes Bumgarner, he also likes Coward, so I think there is a way to mix and match it where we get two of those three. I'm just not certain how I want to attack it, so I would appreciate any opinions you have. I think I'm going to take a break in between episodes, so you should have a window of time to make your voice heard in the comments, and then I'm happy to talk it out as well. Would you go for the lefty pitcher Bill Bumgarner, given the shortage of top-end pitchers in this class? I think he would be great value for us to get. Obviously high school pitchers are inherently risky, but I like that he's already pretty far along and has a good fastball already. So would we take him and then try to take one of Blashill or Coward on the turn? Or should we take Coward now and try to get Blashill or Bumgarner with our next selection? I guess if we go through the mock draft, the final bit of news, you can see Blashill is already projected to have been taken in the first round. And we will try to look for these other guys we're considering as well. So I'm not seeing either, which is surprising. If we keep scrolling here, wow, they're not projected to go for quite a while. So Coward is not projected to go until the 29th pick, and there's Bumgarner. They're kind of right next to one another. So I don't know that I want to chance either one of them making it all the way around. I think it's highly unlikely that either one makes it. You can see Coward is viewed as an 80 grade in the eyes of OSA. Bumgarner just a 60. So maybe you could argue that he would be the one to risk looping around, and then we could take Blashill here and Coward with our next pick, double up on left-handed outfielders, get Bumgarner on the turn. I don't know, guys. It's going to be a tough call. There are 3 players I like, but we're going to wrap it up here. I appreciate you guys for watching. In next episode, we'll look to complete the draft and attack the trade deadline and set ourselves up for the second half of the season. It should be exciting. We will see if our Pirates can return to the playoffs and see similar success. So I hope to see you back then. Take it easy, and I'll be back with a new video for you shortly.